You're standing in front of a painting with someone you love, and somehow you're arguing about blue. Not politics, not money, just blue. The strange part is, afterward you feel lighter, more awake, as if your nervous system just did something it had forgotten. So here is our question: if a gallery, theater seat, or concert hall feels restorative, what exactly is the brain practicing there? We usually picture healthy aging as exercise, sleep, diet, and maybe puzzles. Culture looks softer. Optional. A luxury, if time and money allow. But in the English longitudinal study of aging, researchers followed 3,445 adults over 52 for a decade and saw a striking pattern. Museum, gallery, exhibition, theater, concert, and opera attendance predicted smaller declines in memory and semantic fluency, even after many adjustments. Another ELSA analysis followed 3,911 dementia-free adults. Visiting museums every few months or more was linked with lower dementia incidence. Softly, linked is the careful word. These studies do not prove that museums prevent dementia. They show an association worth taking seriously. In 2048, older adults initially free from depression, cultural engagement every few months predicted lower odds of developing depression across 10 years. The better model is not art as medicine. It is culture as a stack of psychologically protective ingredients bundled into one ordinary outing. First comes novelty, not extreme novelty, just enough unfamiliarity to make attention stand up and begin asking, wait, what am I seeing? A WHO Europe scoping review identified more than 3,000 studies on arts and health across many designs, ages, and settings. And comes awe. That feeling when your private worries briefly shrink because the world seems larger, stranger, and less centered on you. In a randomized trial, 60 healthy older adults took weekly 15-minute walks. All instructions increased joy, pro-social emotion, and reduced daily distress. The researchers called it the small self, not self-erasure. More like a temporary widening of the frame around your own concerns. Culture also invites low-pressure social contact. You do not have to confess anything. You can simply say that scene unsettled me. In a 14-year ELSA follow-up of 6,710 adults, receptive arts engagement was associated with lower mortality risk in a dose-like pattern. That does not mean buying theater tickets extends life. Healthier, wealthier, more mobile people may attend more culture in the first place. A corrected 2024 systematic review found positive associations with mental health, cognitive decline, frailty, resilience, well-being, and social relations. The same review also stressed heterogeneity and poor conceptualization of cultural activities, and it has a published core agendum that matters. A 2023 review of arts engagement in healthy older adults found supportive evidence, but called for better work on mechanisms and long-term effects. This distinction matters because not every cultural activity shows the same pattern. In one ELSA cognitive study, cinema had weaker, less consistent associations. The stronger cognitive aging signal appeared for museums, galleries, exhibitions, and live performance, not for every screen-based outing equally. Why might memory and fluency be involved? Because culture asks you to retrieve words, compare categories, and link the present to stored knowledge. A gallery has a hidden grammar. You notice color, era, material, mood, resemblance, difference. Your mind keeps sorting without calling it training. Theater adds another layer. You watch someone else carry grief, envy, tenderness, or shame at a safe distance from your own life. That distance can support emotion regulation. You feel something fully, but the frame tells your body this is not actually happening to you. Then someone asks what you thought. Suddenly emotion becomes language, and language becomes connection. A private reaction turns into shared meaning. This is close to what psychologists mean by cognitive reserve. Not a shield exactly, but flexible pathways built through education, activity, and engagement. Pause. If future randomized studies gave people accessible cultural outings and found no cognitive, social, or emotional change, this model would weaken. So we should avoid the myth that art reverses aging. That is not just oversimplified. It is stronger than the evidence allows. A more honest experiment is smaller. Design one culture outing this month, then notice what it does to attention, body, mood, and connection. Start with novelty. Choose one room, genre, performer, exhibit, neighborhood mural, or film tradition that is just outside your usual preferences. Add awe. Look for scale, beauty, complexity, age, virtuosity, or silence. Give yourself a moment before explaining it away. Add contact. Go with someone if possible, or trade one sentence with a docent, usher, volunteer, neighbor, or person beside you. Add memory. Let one object or scene remind you of a kitchen, school hallway, childhood song, old coat, or lost friendship. Add regulation. Afterwards, sit somewhere quiet for a few minutes. Ask what emotion remains after the performance or room has ended. For money, consider free museum days, library passes, community theater matinees, student or senior rush tickets, outdoor public art, or live-streamed performances. Museums for All says SNAP or EBT recipients can receive free or reduced admission at more than 1,600 participating U.S. museums. If cost is the barrier, it may help to search local access programs before assuming culture belongs to someone else's budget. Blue Star Museums lists free admission for eligible military families during its program window, but dates and participating venues should be checked locally. If mobility or transport is limited, consider a guided virtual tour, a library exhibit, a neighborhood architecture walk, or a short visit with planned rest. Also, not every outing will help. A crowded gallery when you are exhausted may feel like threat, not enrichment. One approach is to choose the smallest dose that still feels alive, a single room, a short act, one sculpture, one song. The point is not to become cultured in some status sense. It is to give perception a richer environment than routine usually offers. Aging often narrows territory. Fewer errands. Fewer invitations. Fewer places where the mind expects surprise rather than management. The ELSA studies adjusted for education, wealth, health, mobility, and social factors, but residual confounding and reverse causality still remain possible. Maybe people attend culture because they are already healthier. Maybe declining health quietly reduces attendance before anyone names the decline. Still, the pattern is interesting because cultural outings combine inputs researchers usually study separately: novelty, movement, emotion, social contact, memory, and meaning. Brain training apps often isolate a task. Culture refuses isolation. It asks perception, language, autobiographical memory, and social judgment to arrive together. Even the walk there matters if you can manage it. Stairs, transit, street noise, weather, and orientation all ask for gentle adaptation. And when an object unlocks a personal memory, the past does not simply replay, it gets reorganized in the presence of the present. Movies can still matter. A shared film can move us, regulate emotion, and spark conversation. The evidence just differs by outcome. If cinema is your accessible option, consider making it more social and reflective. Arrive early. Talk afterward. Choose something unfamiliar. Live performance has a different nervous system texture. Everyone breathes in the same room, knowing the scene can never be repeated exactly. Awe does not require marble halls. It can happen under enormous trees, beside public murals, in a choir rehearsal, or during a storm. The Awak trial did not find baseline to post-intervention changes in depression, anxiety, or life satisfaction. The gains were more specific. That specificity is useful. We are not looking for a miracle. We are looking for small shifts in distress, openness, joy, and connection. Warmly. If grief, anxiety, or depression is heavy, culture may help, but it is not a substitute for professional care or trusted support. Before you go, rate mood and energy from 1 to 10, not for diagnosis, just to notice your starting weather. Afterward, write 3 fragments: 1 image, 1 memory, and 1 feeling that stayed with you longer than expected. If you go with someone, try one question: what did you notice that I probably missed? That question turns culture into exchange. If you go alone, you can still create contact by joining a tour, attending a talk, or simply telling someone what you noticed. We also have to name cultural comfort. Some venues feel welcoming, others feel coded, expensive, quiet in a way that tells people to shrink. Psychologically protective culture should not mean proving refinement. It should mean finding shared spaces where attention, memory, emotion, and belonging can move. If this kind of careful psychology is useful to you, a like or subscription quietly helps the show reach more curious people. So the better model is modest but beautiful. A culture outing may be a nervous system workout disguised as ordinary pleasure. In the Elsa mortality paper, the authors found associations even after adjustments, but explicitly warned that causality cannot be assumed. Maybe shared culture protects people partly because it makes life feel more inhabited. Not optimized, inhabited, full of scenes worth returning to. This month, consider scheduling one small outing, something new, someone to discuss it with if possible, and a quiet pause afterward. The outing will not make you younger, but it may ask your mind to become more curious, more connected, and more awake. And maybe that is the deeper question of psychological aging, not how much time remains, but how much of the world still reaches you.